Hello, this is DukeByte. Let us now discuss programming. If you're a Unity developer, you've almost certainly had to do some programming, unless you're using Playmaker or something similar. As a programmer, you'll likely want your code to be as understandable as possible because you'll have to work on it knowing why you did things a certain way sooner or later. What method are you using to make your code more readable? Do you make use of in-code comments? If you answered yes, you're doing it completely wrong. Why are bad comments so confusing? You may now consider me an idealist. Every source code requires some level of commenting, but in most cases, if you want to create one, there's definitely a better way. Why do I believe that using comments is a poor idea? Comments can easily become out of date. Consider the following code. Let's imagine someone decides to refactor it. The refactorer changed 90 seconds with the lap time field and then increased it to 180, leaving that comment as a common error. Even if the comment has been modified, everyone who changes the lap time number will be unaware of a comment in the update function that is now misleading us. The comments must be read along with the code. Isn't that one of the reasons there are comments? Actually, it is, but if there is a comment, it indicates that the reader will need to spend more time reading the code since it will need to analyze both the code and all of the comments. It's not just a matter of how much reading there is. Code that requires a comment can only be understood if the reader understands the comment, so there are twice as many things to look at. Now I'd like to show you some real-world examples of how comments were used, and how they could be improved. Make use of meaningful variable names. Something so basic, yet so often ignored. How frequently have you come across variable names like A, B, C2, and so on? Consider the following code. You should be aware that choosing short variable names will not make your game faster. It will just make your code more difficult to read. Remember to use appropriate variable names at all times. Meaningful does not imply long. Therefore you are free to use a short version of a variable name as long as it can be easily decoded, for example rigidbody name as RB. Using excessively long variable names can easily lead to bloated code, thus you must make trade-offs. We no longer need the comment because the variable name player to enemy dist shows us what we're doing in that line. Another factor to bear in mind concerning variable names: for loops use a counter variable. Because it is a common naming convention, using I or j as a counter name is totally allowed. When doing vector calculations, the same applies to x, y, and z. Do not use magic numbers. Magic numbers are numeric values that exist within code, and it may be hard to understand why these numbers are set there, and sometimes what they do. Magic numbers should be extracted and renamed into variables. Ifs should not be explained. When you have an if statement and it is unclear what it does and why, you may be tempted to add a comment to it. Before you do this, consider isolating your if condition into a method with a meaningful name. Please keep the following in mind. We were able to move distance calculation into a separate method by separating the if condition, so the update function now has significantly less code to read. The function name as enemy near player is self-explanatory. We don't need to add anything here. At first sight, it may appear that you are creating more code instead using comments for much cleaner code, but believe me, it will considerably improve your work and life in the long run. However, if you think it is necessary to make a comment and have nothing else to do, go ahead. There are some scenarios in which you have little choice. However, keep in mind that the info in your comments might become out of date in the future, so keep it basic and harmless. Thanks for watching, and until the next time.